Hello, and welcome to another Pauper video. Um, I'm back playing the Blue-Black Madness deck that I posted a little while back. Um, the kind of new card, big addition, is we now have a a blue, not a red. We've got plenty of red ones. A blue Tormenting Voice. We're not using the fact that this is a lesson, and there's some cards you can use to search for it. Although we could do. I've just remembered there's the black gain for life thing, and that could actually be quite an interesting sideboard option for the red. Like a mono red match, we could switch these out for that directly. Oh, just thought about that right now. What's it called? Um, Either way, we're probably not going to start it because I kind of want to keep the duresses. Cram session. Cram session into abandoned attachment seems quite like that could be doable. Gain 4 life into this. 4 life, looting, 4 mana. It's not great, but the fact you can do both sides of it. Anyway, that was a quick aside. I'm not going to bother re-recording it because it's an idea we might come back to. So this is the Blue Black Madness deck. The new thing to draw us here is a blue Tormenting Voice type effect. Obviously with Sneaky Snacker, the discard a card, draw 2 is very, very powerful. This is kind of the basis of the Mono Red Madness deck. You know, even the Rakdos Madness set that was around for a bit before. Very powerful interaction. In this particular deck, what we are trying to do is we have, where are they? Basically a big pile of 2 power flyers we can cast for 2 mana or less. You know, some of the amount of time they cost 1 mana, some of the amount of time they're free. This is kind of, I think this is actually really powerful and actually kind of underexplored. I think there's something here, but I think it's going to be quite hard to tune. Um, that's my thesis. I used to play this in a kind of uh, more kind of actual affinity type deck because this bunch of cards works really well with Crackland Shaman. They're a bunch of cheap flyers, and then obviously Crackland Shaman can sweep the board underneath them. But I think this is quite cool. Supporting all of our 2 mana flyers, we've got ways to discard our Madness cards, the Kitchen Imp, the Wektu. We're playing Affinity for the refurb anyway. That means we can play Thoughtcast, another draw spell, and then Blood Fountain makes some blood tokens. We've got Lorien Revealed, Modern Age, draw. You know, if you can use Madness as like a draw too. So we've got a very good way of keeping a steady flow of cards coming through our hand as well. Blood Fountain Refurb is, you know, the engine behind Jund, Wildfire, Grixis Affinity, and so on. Obviously, this is incredibly powerful. This is a potential home for this, and then because the blood token, this is like the best source of a blood token. I think you can find. We're gonna, you know, our creatures are quite fragile, so they will go to the graveyard quite often. We're maxed out on blood fountains. This could be ever so like this could be a bit greedy, but again, we can discard these if we, you know, if we need to. They're also just gonna, you know, stop anybody being able to kind of go over the top of us. With this much draw, this much graveyard recursion, we're pretty solid. So the first version of this I played had some cast downs and some spell piercers. Kind of with the abandoned attachments, I've moved up to Dark Withering, which is like a madness, well, terror, I guess. But it destroys destroys artifact creatures. So that's just kind of doing more of the same. Madness enablers to let us draw a card. You know, turning a blood token into 1 tap, discount a spell, draw a card. Seems pretty nice. The cast downs are just kind of something. I wanted some more removal in the first league I played with this. We've cut the spell piercers, which we'll see how we feel about that. So that is the main deck. There's a small amount of life gain in the harder deploy, but I think the mono red's just going to be a very, very tough matchup for us. We'll see. This might be an option to improve it with 4 cram sessions. You know, we could There's quite a lot of life gain that we could find quite easily with these. And then, with a healthy dose of blue blasts as well. I could see there being something there. It's just how many cards do you want to commit between Cram Session, Blue Blast, for example, already adds up. So onto the sideboard, I've got my healthy dose of Blue Blast. One thing I found so far is I don't really want to over sideboard with this deck. As we kind of spoke about, there's a lot of card draw to get through your cards and a lot of the payoffs. If you cut too many of your Madness payoffs, you're not really getting through your deck in the same way anymore, getting any value. And if you cut your enablers, then you're suddenly playing a real clunker. So sideboarding is tough. We've got the blue blast for the red deck. I'm on duress. This wasn't what I tried first, but the idea is it also helps against red. And then if we're just going to try and outdraw people, basically using just this big pile of draw spells, just being able to trade 1-for-1 with them at leisure, essentially, just trade straight up 1-for-1 on cards could be an edge for us. I need some way to deal with the board. We only have fire removal spells. We're not very good against people that would go wide. And then all of our creatures are quite small, so I don't really want to be on Drowning Sorrow. So I'm trying going up to Arms of Adar. We see a lot of cards, so we're probably not too bad at finding our 4th land drop on time, but there's a real risk that in matchups where this matters, a turn 4 sweeper is just too slow. We'll see how that plays out. I've not actually sideboarded this in yet. And then I had Nile Spellbomb in the deck. Obviously, Spellbomb in a black deck is just really, really good. Hose of the Graveyard and Cycles is, a lot of value. Big fan. I'm trying out Ferry Macabre because it works well with the Blood Fountain. Against Spy, for example, it turns off. What's the artifact hate guy? Masked Vandal as being interaction. This will make us worse against Blue Terror, which is obviously a very popular deck. But there's a potential that Blue Terror is already an okay matchup. And I think it will improve our kind of potentially like Red Madness and like Spy type matchups. And then a Curse Mortar is kind of again a plan on its own. If we're against Terror, or if we're against, I don't know, heaven forbid, Boggles, White Heroic, not White Weenie. Even like a Chrysalis deck, we could bring in Marauder, which can be very powerful. And obviously with 4 Blood Fountains, these are a lot of edicts. So that is basically the spiel through the deck. I'm going to give it a go. I'm not sold on probably the cast downs. The Wek Doos are definitely on the worse end of things. And then the sideboard is, I'm pretty sure I want a Curse Board. I'm pretty sure I want some Graveyard Hate. I'm not really sure about the rest. I could be convinced that putting 2 Arms of Adar in and saying this is a plan against something like Elves is just never actually going to be enough. So we will see, won't we? Right, let's get into a league. We are paired into an absolute all-timer of a name, and I'm going to keep. We have probably Modern Age to lead on. We're not a great refurb hand, and don't really want to be against red with this. Well, with this deck. It's not this hand's problem, it's the deck's problem. I guess I lead on the bridge. If I draw an artifact land, I might play out the refurb this turn. Or next turn even. But they suspend a robbery, which implies they have a madness thing to do with it and not a snacker, obviously. Against that, obviously we've not got an artifact for the refurb. I guess we just drop the Modern Age. Then we can loot away the Kitchen Imp next turn. And let's pitch. I think the Aquifer is just too slow. We can always cycle the Lorien Revealed if you want another land. Paying 1 mana to play an untapped land is basically the same. So our next turn, play Madness out the Kitchen Imp. We've got 2 mana left. could be abandoned attachments, but obviously we wouldn't have anything to discard. So yeah, we were right about the Fiery Temper. I think it bodes, considering we've got no removal in hand, it bodes well for us that they've not played a Pinger first. They are just blasting. So that works quite nicely, so that lets us refurb with 2 mana. So let's probably discard the Swamp or the Lorien. Oh no, it's the Kitchen Imp. I'm being an absolute idiot, aren't I? Nearly goofed that. Make sure I actually cast this. I am not utterly convinced that we're getting the most value out of our refurb here. I will just attack first for what it's worth. You know, they're a deck with snackers. Again, I think if they had a snacker, they'd have done it. Lava darts, all sorts of wonderful things. But, you know, if this gets a bolt out of their hand, Faith Eating out of their hand and slows them down, that's pretty good for us. This is presumably their pinger. Or another. What? Okay. What's a Wicked Roll do? 1/1, +1/+1 and the drain thing. Okay. They are, you know, just full on burning our face. We've got gain 1 life. Doesn't seem great. Gain 1 life and gain 2 life. That'll undo 1 bolt for the low cost of 6 mana. Obviously, we can Wek do first, or we can Island Cycle into it to gain 2 life and not play the Wek do. How does playing a Wek do affect our clock? So we attack for 2, attack for 4, put them to 14. If we played the Wek do, we would then have 8, but that's not really improving the number very much. If we play the Swamp and cycle the Lorien, then we can, when we flash back this, we could play the Modern Age first, which gains us 2 life, then 3 life. That starts to add up. And then only kind of question then is, do we do this immediately, or do we do it in their turn? I'll do it in their turn, and if they happen to I don't know. I don't see it really changing what they do. Is the point? Maybe I'll get them to just start blasting bolts at our face. And there's if in the world where they have 9 damage but not 12, we might get them to spew everything. Obviously, the downside is that we might try and gain life and then they just kill us in response. But I think the risk is worth it, but it might be one of those risk is calculated, but I'm bad at maths. I love that joke. So we'll get an island, and then we'll try and gain 2. This is your cue to kill us. If you kill us, looks like no, they're picking off our board. That's a good sign. And I'll discard the abandon attachments, I guess. So if we Modern Age first, we gain 3 life. And obviously get a Modern Age rolling that can Kitchen Imp later. I think I'm just interested in gaining life over trying to attack them down. The other option is that we hold up mana to try and kill a pinger, but they're at the point where they've got 5 lands in play that any spells they 5 lands and 2 lava darts. If they play a pinger, they can just throw their hand at us and we'll die anyway. This is 4 damage, put them down to 10. Maybe we do have to try and kill them. That's a shame. I think we actually do have to try and get our clock a bit better. It'd be 6 damage if we were to attack with the Kitchen Imp, but then we're very unlikely to make another haste threat to make us 2 turns quicker. Or the alternative is that we Kitchen Imp and Wek do, which we can do, so I guess we're doing that. So I'll discard the, I'm trying to think if it matters. I'll discard the Wek do first because we might not cast it. draw 2, and then discard a kitchen imp. So this does actually mean we've got 6, then 8 damage if they don't kill us. But obviously we've got the Weenie we can cast from our graveyard. Yeah, don't love them bolting our face. Love them Faithless Looting though. We're effectively at 8. We're effectively at 5. Fire Blast is tough to beat. Fire Blast or bust. This is a lot of lands. Got 6, 10 lands. Okay. And they're tidying up the board. Wow. Okay, so I don't think we necessarily deserve to win this one. I'd play the Modern Age. This will get another spell out of their hand. This looks like a concession that's not loaded. Yep. Okay, so we just got incredibly lucky they flooded out there. The, what's it called? Ploy was pretty effective. Like the first one gained, we had to work for it, but it did gain what, 4 life? Maybe I'm underselling whatever it was called, that lesson thing. So I want my 7 piece of interaction. I think with Sneaky Snacker around and so on, I can live with some Fairy Macabres. I think I'm leaning towards cutting the Dark Witherings because these are just high risk of being clunky. And again, I'd rather be, if as the game goes on, I kind of need to be blue blasting some stuff instead. Is that right? That seems very weird. I can definitely cut the Weenie. I can cut some amount of Blood Fountains. I might not have 3 Fairy Macabres. Basically saying that Dark Withering is just being upgraded into Blue Blast makes some sense. Now I want to keep the kind of velocity through the deck. Cut some Kitchen Imps and like really slow down our clock, but just have, bits of life gain with deploy, Blue Blast and so on. The other thing that's on my radar is just cutting expensive spells, but like Lorien's part of our mana base. Thoughtcast is effectively 1 mana. These don't suck too much to get countered, they're only 2 mana. I'm not actually completely sure what my last cuts want to be. Cutting more Kitchen Imps feels like we're slowing down too much. Snacker, we've still got quite a lot of ways to trigger. I'm going to try cutting the Kitchen Imps, but I'm not sold on this being a solid plan. Basically the plan is to just rinse them with refurbs. At least the deck looks a lot more, the deck at least has a curve to beat mono red when you've got what you're adding. Was that 5 plus 2 plus 2? We're adding 9 1 or 3 mana spells. Not 3. Yeah, I know it's not quite that, but cutting 4, 8. I can't really count this as 6 if I'm saying that Fairy Macabre is 3. Cutting 4, 8, 11, 14, 20, 26, 32 mana worth, 34 mana worth of spells. You can see some logic there. We're going to mulligan. Okay, well, I'm going to keep and put back. What do we put back? I think it's probably the Modern Age. I'm kind of off the Madness plan and just on trying to refurb them a bit. We'll kind of sandbag the blue source. So obviously that is more precious to us at the minute. Smash. No, Snacker. We are refurb gaming. Let's see what they've got to discard. Any value? No value. Got them. Hooked them. I'm not completely against blocking. Kind of thinking that we're going to get the affinity anyway from the Seat of the Synod. Well, no blocks for us. But that's only 1 damage. I'm feeling quite hopeful about this game all of a sudden. Now this is how we would do it. I'm quite worried about our mana situation, but the Lorien Revealed getting an island sorts that out. We'll island cycle this for for a basic. I think I'm gonna block. Just want to keep my life total high. What it would make our thought cast cost 1 more mana. Obviously they do get it back, but there's a chance they didn't have this. And then Blood Fountain for us becomes very live. So we take 3. Again, I played a lot of the Is It Fae into Madness matchup, where the situation's pretty good because you have so many counterspells and repeatable counter effects. Oh, I just forgot to Lorien Reveal, didn't I? Yeah. We do need to do this still because we need the second blue pip. Pay 2 mana for the Thought Cast. Obviously, we could use this, but we have Madness spells. Hold up a Blue Blast. So we're down at 10. We only have Ploys for life gain, so obviously that's not a whole lot of life gain. But we're kind of set up. I would expect that most of our games we don't get into this situation as well as we have now, if that makes sense. We're not winning, but it could be going much, much worse. Grab the prize without a red blast. That'd be ideal. Highway robbery is a bit safer. I'm just going to Lorien Reveal for another island. I have 1 more to get. Refurb's great. So we've got Refurb, Abandoned Attachments, Pitch Kitchen Imp. Yeah, just draw all your refurbs. What a plan. What masters. I think I'm going to Abandoned Attachments, Kitchen Imp over Thoughtcast. Just because otherwise we might not be able to use our mana. I probably Abandoned Attachments, Kitchen Imp in response to their robbery. If they Red Blast, then I'll Red Blast back. Again, I'm probably blocking. Even though we know they have the robbery, I'm just take this into gain 2 life, they discard a card is kind of fine with me. So that's interesting. So they still have the robbery. I'll abandon attachments first, and if we hit what we've got the counterspell sin on the cast down sin on our deck, maybe we let this resolve. I think we're just countering this anyway. Maybe we get the red blast out of the way with the abandoned attachments. Alternatively, maybe we just show them that we only have 1. I'm really worried about hitting yield to all when I do stuff when they have something on the stack. If this gets red blasted, we only take 2 damage. It doesn't. They do get their snacker back, but depending on what their last card value is, they just discarded a mountain, so they don't get any value out of it apart from the snacker. So the mountain was, they just sacrificed the land, I see. I'm going to go blue-black for the Modern Age first. Discard Kitchen Imp. Cast Kitchen Imp. So we don't really get to use 1 of our mana this turn. Just attack for 2. Again, I'll just keep trading. The downside of them sacrificing a land and drawing 2 cards is now they're back up at 4 mana. 4 cards in hand, sorry, 3 mana, but well, there's the land again. I'm going to let this resolve. Interesting, the snacker's now staying home. We've kind of changed roles by... I didn't want to see another snacker there. 1 Fire Blessed in the graveyard, so I'm not going to worry about playing another snacker. I'm probably just going to take the opportunity to abandon attachments. It seems very steep to abandon attachments, pitch a Thoughtcast. But I think I do just want to keep churning through my deck. Is this wild? I think it is wild. I don't think it's wrong. Well, I think given the situation, I'm glad I did it, but a Fairy Macabre would be right at home. Hey! So let's start with the Thoughtcast. What else is on our wish list? More Blue Blasts is pretty high up there. Do we attack for 4 or attack for 2? I think I'm just going to attack for 2. There's nothing else in their graveyard that we... there's nothing else in their graveyard apart from the snacker, but I think we still just bog that down. We still make a land drop, for example. It still moves us forwards. So they have 3 cards, we're at 7, but we do have 2 blasts. We're starting to kind of get a bit more comfortable as the game goes on. The Abandoned Attachments isn't very live, but like Blood Fountain feels like it cracks the game open. I feel like again we've gotten quite lucky this match. I'll take it. We've drawn a lot of cards, we've had a lot of opportunities to draw good cards. Hopefully this is my one red deck of the league. I love them drawing lands here when you've got, we were just counting off 3 cards. I got 2 of them sorted. I think I just blast this. It's a bad blast, but there's much higher value targets for me to blast. However, staying a bit higher life total is very appealing. Okay, well now we're stamping this as well. Now we're out of blasts, and what we get in return is that they only have 1 card. And I will block. Flip this. Don't really think I want the cast down, so we can start with Abandoned Attachments to see more cards. We could just Modern Age. We could get the modern. So we could just Lorien, or we could just get the Modern Age rolling. I kind of want to just slam a Lorien. We've not made a land drop, so if we draw a land, we could play something. We don't. I'm going to hold Pharaoh Macabre for the snacker. For when the trigger goes on the stack, we might get them to play differently to... Oh no, this looks like a Fire Blast. It's rough, it's rough. What if we had 5 mana, we had played the Modern Age, we'd have drawn the Blood Fountain into a Blood Token into a Blue Blast. Got a bit greedy. I don't know if greedy is the right word. It's not the wrong word. We took a risk, but we suck at maths. I'm just going to run this back, I think. Like, we had all the refurbs, so Blood Fountain would be good, but I don't necessarily want more of them. Yeah, I'm happy with the setup of the deck. This is showing what I was trying to say, of like, at least that looks like a deck that could play into mono red. And this hand's pretty weak. I'm going to keep a 7 on the play and just hope we get there. We've got turn 2 Modern Age to start seeing some cards. This means that coast is clear for them to turn to a, oh wow. Opponent has not been lucky this match. That's the type of thing that we need to see. Against that, do we still Modern Age? Do we abandon attachments? I think I'm happy to just abandon attachments, make a guy. And we're showing that the coast is clear, which is the major risk. If they red blast, then they've already mulliganed so heavily. The benefit of this for us is that probably their best thing is like grab the prize, a snacker, and at least we can, stare at each other. Yeah. Man, they grab the prize so much better than ours. I'm quite tempted to just go again and like play the Modern Age. Shields are down. Should I play the Vault first? Don't think so. I'm keeping the Bog because this could catch the snacker out. I guess I discard the bridge and just play the other bridge. It's going to be embarrassing if I lose to a multiple. This is how they do it though, is just all the grab the prizes, and obviously us not be leaving up mana. Okay, so don't mind them killing our snacker. That saves us quite a lot of damage. Dress is a nice draw as well. Okay, things are kind of coming around our way. I think I'm going to discard the Abandoned Attachment. We could Blood Token off the, obviously, Blood Fountain to get that'll be our 3rd draw with the Modern Age. I don't know what other 2 cards I'm discarding is the idea. So let's start off with the dress. I think I'm just getting rid of this Faithless Looting, and if I take the Faithless Looting and then just play the Bog, then we don't get the Snacker. If I take the Faithless Looting and then steal Blood Fountain, play the, and then just don't hold up Blue Blast again. This one. Played the Mountain. Refurb is very high on our list of cards we want to draw. Feels like we're abandoning an abandon. Didn't even cross my mind that they'd do this. Don't know why it didn't. It's quite an obvious thing to consider. If we blast, they bolt. Don't hate it. Again, I just want to be trading cards 1 for 1 for the rest of time. I should have abandoned attachments in my turn if I'm doing this though. Because if we find a 1-drop, so we blast, they blast, we counter, they don't bolt. Again, this is a sign of how I don't understand the matchup properly when I'm prioritizing blasts over bolts. Is there a way we discard the Fairy Macabre and keep the other abandoned attachments? I actually kind of like that. We've got the Blood Fountain for it if we need it. And I will just Silent Cycle. I don't want to be sitting on a load of 5-mana spells. Okay. This looks promising. Play the Modern Age, discard the abandoned attachment, then tap out for the ploy. We could discard whatever else we draw off the Modern Age. Yeah, I mean, this is worse. Gain 2, tap out. Yeah. I'll stay home this time. Staying home this time is so bad. What am I doing? I need to get them dead at some point. So we've got 2 life in the graveyard. Gutter Snipe, Bolt is 5. Well, the dress is looking worse than it did a minute ago. How have we ended up here? So we can gain 3 life off of this. I think I'd rather do that. Gain an extra life by cycling the Lorien. And I think I'm discarding the abandoned attachments. The point of doing it first is if we do find a red blast, we can kill the Gutter Snipe. Or I think we've got Cast Down in our deck still. I'll discard the abandoned attachment and keep the Modern Age. And I'll discard the Fairy Macabre again. We can Thoughtcast into a Blue Blast, which we miss, but that's kind of fine. Lava Dart is there's a lot of things that make this next turn very uncomfortable, very hot, very burnt. Seeing 1 Blue Blast of our 5 in the top 30 is a bit rough. Does this kill us? Wow. That's so rough. They missed it. They attack with both and just dart them. Oh. So this is what a second chance feels like. Can we capitalize? If I ploy, I gain another 2 life. And again, I give myself the option of finding a Blue Blast. Or some refurbs. The refurb does cycle. Ooh, come on, Blue Blasts, come on, where are you? I can't believe we can't find them. No bolts. Okay, it doesn't look like a bolt. There we are. God, what a sketchy game. A tense one. I don't want to make that bigger. I want to see what... Basically, I want to gain life before I try and kill this in case they have some weird effect. What's in our graveyard? We've got Fairy Macabre, and that's basically the only creature in there, isn't it? Play this. We can't Fairy Macabre the Snacker, but we're just kind of going over the top of the Snacker now. Okay. This finally feels comfortable. Boy, did it take a while, but we got there. I can't believe they moved to 4 this game. Again, like, of course we draw the blue last now because they weren't in the top half of our deck, but wow, opponent's been savagely unlucky. And we can put the boot in. Opponent has been savagely unlucky. I can't complain about not finding the blue blast when they moved to 4 and then still had us like, well, they missed lethal and then also had a a shot to kill us with half of their deck. Obviously, they drew to grab the prize presumably that turn and didn't have anything to discard. I guess they could have drew the land and not been able to cast it. Alright, well, let's hope we don't play many more red decks. We are back in round 2, and I'm gonna keep. It's got lands and spells. A third land to get the Weckdu online. Oh, I love a Drossforge bridge for us. Yeah, I think we just drop the Modern Age and discard. I don't really want to discard the Aquify. I don't really want to discard a Blood Fountain, but we probably don't need it anytime soon. Maybe I can discard a Blood Fountain. I want to keep my lands coming because, again, we kind of draw so many cards. We've got the ploy already. Oh, okay. So you are. I'm assuming this is more aggressive slanted than my first thought was. So let's discard Weckdu. Guess I'm going to play the other Modern Age as well. Discard the Seat or discard the Aquifer. I think I can just pitch the Aquifer. Yeah, if they're playing a turn 2, okay, love Tithing Blade. If they're playing a turn 2 synth, then presumably they have cheap spells to discard to it. They've missed their third land drop. See, I'm slamming a refurb. If I discard the abandoned attachment, I can slam the refurb, then ploy. And if I'm one land away from Lorien, if they're being kind of slow, that will put the boot in. Let's see if we find anything else out about you if we refurb you. Let's get a taste of what's going on. Okay, Mardu. Okay, yeah, makes sense. If we ploy now, I don't think we necessarily get any. There's nothing that we would discard. So we can pass with cast down up. There's no madness or anything that we can afford to play. Yeah. Obviously, if they're Mardu, they don't have white mana. They can't play any creatures. Weckdu's back. Back again. I might discard the Lorien, and then I've just got abandon Weckdu. Keep the cast down. Yeah. Abandon the Weckdu. Play the Weckdu. Play the Aquifer. So, kind of a lot of talking just about how we play the sequence cards in a hand, and let's actually zoom out again for a minute. I think I'm probably discarding the abandon to this. We've got a ploy in the graveyard already still. Yeah, so let's kind of zoom out. Obviously, they're also on a grindy deck. So I feel like what this deck excels at is grinding. Basically. That's my high level insight. I think I can probably outgrind even like, the core Skyfisher synth value. Yeah, I don't mind them, basically killing our creatures because we're on a similar game plan to them where we're just accruing value as we go. Shouldn't have necessarily played that land first in case we do a tap plan that we want to play, which we essentially did. So missed having a Bajuka Bog in play there. It's not the end of the world, but those things matter. Rough for them that they don't have a white spell still, otherwise presumably they would wildfire with the bridge. Our clock has slowed right down, but we still have the Lorien revealed to keep the gas flowing. Sure. Again, happy for them to be killing our creatures. And bog or bridge. maybe if they do some graveyard stuff, I'll save the potential value from the bog. The Wekdu carries on riding. It's going to be a sick ploy. Boy, that's a very mana intensive way to dig yourself out of some mana screw. It makes sense because I think it definitely looks like they've got all the time in the world, but the tempo swing on 2 hasty creatures is pretty real. So ploy, discard Kitchen Imp, cast Kitchen Imp, discard another Kitchen Imp. You guessed it, we'll play another Kitchen Imp. Now we've actually got a clock on them again and they're relatively low life. I'm gonna Thoughtcast, or do I? I'm tempted to just, I don't know what we'd draw, it's probably like Refurb is what we would draw and play. We've not seen one yet, so we've seen one, so we have 3 left in the 30 cards. The alternative is to hold up Abandon Dark Withering. I am going to hold up Abandon Dark Withering. I feel the chance of them still not having any creatures is very slim. This uses 3 mana nicely, whereas the Thoughtcast is kind of being stuck in our hand. Here is our guide that will be withered. Well, we actually don't got too bad by this. It's a shame it resets our our graveyard for Blood Fountain, but it could be worse. I can't believe how unlucky the Madness player got in the first round. That was pretty sick. May I introduce to you Dark Withering? I can't wait to get all our lands destroyed in the post-board games. Like, what's it called? Gorilla Shaman? Goes pretty hard. They're bolting down our guys. Raven Charm one of them, sure. Bolt the other. Okay. Let's draw 2. Sure, let's Modern Age out the other one. Okay, we've got a lot of lands here still. Just keep blasting. Not, I just genuinely checked, but not at risk of milling out. Hilarious that I thought I had to check though. And I'm probably going to do the same and leave up Cast Down again, because I think they're definitely going to play a creature, and I don't really want to show them the Blood Fountain, not that they can necessarily do a lot about it. So we've got 20 cards. There's not many Kitchen Imps in there. There's 4 Snackers, 3 Blood Fountains. I can't remember what I set the yield to, but I need to set it to yield to the end step. Yeah, like I think it's reasonable if we show them that we've got a Blood Fountain, they just pick up the bog. Blood Fountain, get back 2 Imps is so sick. I guess we don't get to Madness one out to the Modern Age trigger. Woe is us. Yeah, that's one way to stop us madnessing out it to a Modern Age trigger. But I think the Kitchen Imp will be lethal. Presumably they have like a bolt, but okay, they didn't even. So fortunate again with how it went, but our deck was very fun to play. Just kept the cards going. Keep just playing, drawing spells, playing spells. What's not to like? So I want Duresses here. I can't think of a red spell I'm too worried about. Maybe Synth? Do I want to fight with a Synth, or do I just want to do my thing, if that makes sense? Curse Mortar, not that interested. Very Macabres, I mean, they probably do have some Blood Fountains of their own, but I don't really want a Very Macabre. So I want the Dresses, I might want some Blue Blasts. What don't I want? I think that's actually a tough call, because everything seems pretty good. I might just like trim. I've got 19 lands and 4 Lorians, so I could probably cut a land. Maybe like a Wekdu. I think the Dresses are better than, are worth bringing in. Wekdu and just Seat of the Sign, I would say. I'm just going to get hosed by the Gorilla Shaman if they have that. Cutting lands when they have potential artifacts like artifact land destruction was a bit bad. I'm going to give this a go. This feels very strange. Again, like, the deck is all in on a thing. It makes sense against the mono red where you don't necessarily want to be. I'm going to keep partly because of Lorien, partly because we can get 2 lands they can't destroy, which might involve discarding the Lorien. Yeah, like in these kind of matchups, the deck is all about being that cohesive mix. I don't think I want to over sideboard. It's just more changing some slots around. A land they cannot kill. Relic's pretty good. If I drop my Vault and play a Blood Fountain off it, I think I probably am going to Island Cycle. I don't know. We're not a million miles off being able to play it. Yeah, especially with that. We only have one. Oh no, we've got Blood Fountain. I'm being an idiot. I was going to say we only have one island or one artifact for a reverb count or a forecast, but we do actually have a million. Kind of looks like a gentleman's game where, at least so far, they're not messing with us, and obviously we're doing nothing to mess with them. The rod goes, they missed their land drop. So obviously we can blood token out the kitchen imp. I guess no, we abandon attachment out of the kitchen imp. Yeah, let's not get fancy. The only thing is, then we lose the option to Dark Withering, but we've got the blood token still. Could have played the seat first, but like here we could use this seat island cycle and keep the kitchen imp for the blood fountain, but like if they kill it, I don't think I'm in the business of that. I think I'm in the business of refurbing them and going to town. With the kitchen imp, I think I'm just playing that as well. Kitchen imp's so good. I love kitchen imp in Pauper, as in it's like pitched at just the right level where it's an absolute house. If you build your deck to make it good, it's the best card in all those decks, in the like Rakdos Madness in this deck. But it's not inherently busted on its own, if you get what I mean. You do actually have to build around it. So just a pair of 2-for-1s. We'll drop a refurb, get another card out of your hand. And then I think it's time to Paducah Bog. There's still no white mana, huh? You really not getting there very well. I'm going to let them take both of these. If I attack and they kill it, I could see just blood fountaining just the one guy back. I know that's crazy, but it gets the relic out of the way. And the other option is play a Lorien into a potential red blast. I guess if I play Lorien, I'm protecting my investment. Worst comes to worst, they red blast it. We at least exile it to the relic. Yeah. Just that everyone's fully juiced to the gills with red blast in the minute. So white spell, a land. Oh, white mana finally. We'll lose our Lorien. I think I'm gonna crack now, just for the one refurb. Expect their relic, and then the coast will be clear when we drop the other refurb. At least it will stay in the graveyard. They get some choice over which card they keep now, but how are we even with them on cards? It feels like we've drawn so many cards. I probably shouldn't have played that. They could refurb us or something, we discard something else. It's not the end of the world to play it for sure, but the synth thing begins. What did that find? A dust to dust that you can't cast, and a pyroblast with no targets. Okay, that's pretty rough, mate. Actually, I'll give you that. That's not fair. I am going to cast down. The other consideration is just spend 6 mana on a Dark Withering. I might just spend 6 mana on a Withering in my turn. Yeah. I'm going to keep the island back now for refurb as discussed in the last turn. So they have a lot of cards saved up in their synths, but it feels like we're just kind of one card away from being, a draw 2 away from being unlocked. A Thoughtcast, for example. We've got so many of them in our deck. Just playing a Snacker. Again, one of the things I like about this deck is you can just play a Snacker. I actually find I'm doing it quite a bit for a deck that's built around discarding cards. If we play the island now, we could hold up Dark Withering. I don't think that's required. Interesting they do bolt that. Turns on our Blood Fountains. Well, Dark Withering is live. How have you got 2 artifacts on turn 10? Pop. Thank you very much. I guess we're basically always cast down in this, so we should have done it. Maybe not if we have the ploy. I don't see any way they block. Yeah, I should have just stayed back. We're not in any rush. I don't think this matters. I'd rather cast down a... I promise I was actually about to say Core Skyfisher. Just because then that's something that the Snacker doesn't deal with. Although now I feel like I am taking the refurb. Is this better? We can kill the refurb so that we can keep like the swamp in our hand and gain 2 life. But then we do struggle to get through the Core Skyfisher without just going wide round it. The swamp in our hand could be anything off of the Modern Age. That kind of worked out wonky where it just disincentivized them to play the Glinthawk. If they don't hit a land here, they can't Skyfish. Or an untapped white source, which is fewer and further between. I think I'm happy to fire. Yeah, we know about the synth. Great. I'll have it. What's this? Red Blast. I'm trying to think what they would tank on in response. It was a Red Blast. So now we get the synth out. I think that we ploy. We know the duress isn't any good at this turn. I don't think we wait a turn cycle. This gets very punished by a what's it called? Refurb. Obviously we're bringing this back, so I'm just going to block. Or we're hoping to bring it back. No refurbs. No. Yeah. Some consideration to Blood Fountain. Blood Fountain would suck against Thraben Charm. Loruna would suck into Red Blast. This is medium bad against Thraben Charm because they could exile the rats. I'm going to play the Blood Fountain because I would rather have this in play than get it refurbed away. I think Blood Fountain is better than them taking a random card or drawing a random card. So again, if we can get back a refurb and a snacker, we're kind of cooking. Just getting rinsed off the top those last 2 draws. The Red Blast into us exposing the Blood Fountain and getting got for it. Can't complain too much because the opponent got quite caught up on lands early, but those last few turn cycle did not work out according to plan, is all I'm saying. Let's go to the bottom. They do make a land drop. But this feels like how we kind of turn the corner in just an absurd turn of 1 good draw into, yeah, 1 good draw into just going absolutely nuts. I think I've learnt my lesson not to hang out at the Blood Fountain, but I'm not entirely sure. We're still taking 4 this turn down to 7. So we are at risk of being blasted, bolted out. We finally get 2 creatures in the graveyard and a blood fountain, and of course, off she goes. I'll discard the abandoned attachments. Opponent's draws have lined up nicely into ours. So we do this first, and then we can at least get the Wektu back. Because if we leave them with the relic in play, then they can always interrupt the Wektu, so we can blood fountain Wektu. Do we ever do that now? I don't think so. I'm probably just jump trading. Again, I don't want to drop my life total any lower. So flash this guy in, block. This reads like some interaction. It's a tough call for them on bolt this or blast this or save it for the face. We've got one more piece of life gain in the deck, which is the other ploy. We do have a 3/3 facing down this. I guess they could blast this. Okay. What are we up to? I think I like starting with the modern age. I do want to get this played so we can get the ball rolling from flipping this again. Discard the bridge. Okay, this is all working out quite nice. Refurb, so they bolt this. And then we'd get to draw a card. They do bolt that, kind of as expected. We draw. Trigger Snacker. And so we can drop the blood fountain, sit that in play. We can abandon attachments and abandon attachments. I feel like every time I've made a play it's been punished, but we've not got so much mana that dropping the blood fountain doesn't do anything. So if they have like another cast into the fire, well, I guess casting the fire to kill our 2 guys is pretty good. They go fishing. And scry to the bottom. I will block. I think I abandon the abandon. Because I'm using 4 mana for the blood fountain for these 2 next turn. Wish I didn't do that. I meant to blood fountain in my upkeep. I had actually thought that through. 4 mana to blood fountain, 1 mana to refurb, 1 mana to. So I think I can cast the snacker. Refurb, snacker, and then I can't wait. If I discard this and get hosed by a Fragrant Chart, that does suck. The land I don't think matters. I guess we're playing snacker, we can afford to thoughtcast. Though we don't have that many cards left in our deck. Maybe that's the true problem with thoughtcasting. Like if we're setting up to double block, wipe our board again, we don't have that many times of bringing back all the snackers. If we lose this game, we're in time trouble for sure. Oh my god. The middle of this game where we was it? The middle of this game where we chose wrong on the Lorien, we would ran that into Pyroblast. If we'd have, was it there? Maybe I'm in the wrong place. We ran a Lorien into a Fire Blast instead of doing a Blood Fountain. And then we played a Blood Fountain, it got artifact hated, got dusted straight out. Wow. I feel like we were so far ahead for most of this game. Like, the fact we didn't get the sneaky snackers going, that felt absolutely brutal. Human, I'll be honest. I don't think we change our sideboard at all. We're on the play if you want that land back, but I don't think I do. I'm not encouraged to put in Red Blast by how that went. Yeah. It felt like we were kind of very far ahead for a lot of it. And keep, probably get an island. I think I would just turn to the refurb though. If we don't turn to, if we play this, we can Refurb and Thoughtcast say. No, I like refurb into Kitchen Imp. Put the pressure on them if they're, playing a million tap land deck. They discarded a white source. Spooky for them. Push in for some damage. That last game was really, really fun, but it would have been really, really fun if we fought through a load of stuff and then won at the end. The losing at the end did kind of, not that I'm shallow, but it did kind of subtract from the whole experience. So we can play the Snacker. We could just play a Kitchen Imp, or we can Thoughtcast first. If we Thoughtcast first, we could draw another way to discard. We don't, and now we have to play an island to get the Snacker down. It's not the end of the world. We found a lot of lands, and we're not actually ahead on the our life total is not much higher than them, considering it feels like we've put a lot more effort into reducing their life total than them playing a Black Mage's Rod and attacking one. Black Mage's Rod is a hell of a card. Been super duper impressed with it. I played a challenge with my Is It Fey deck and just got I lost to Affinity twice, where I previously had pretty good results into it. I'm just pretty sure it's entirely Black Mage's Rod just getting in for a million. I'll block. I'll do it. They don't let me. Well, we make another flyer. Super cheap Kitchen Imps all the way. They are out of spot removal, which is interesting. And I think I'm just going to play a bridge. Don't think that should matter. And we're probably Lorien revealed next turn. Could be a red blast in their hand. If they don't have a core Skyfisher, I'm quite confident. If they do, it could be a bit awkward. There's a core Skyfisher. Of course it is. Hey, came up with that one myself. They replay the synth off of the white source. And have a bolt. Okay, there's another white source, that makes sense. If they bolt something, I get to Blood Fountain. They bolt me. That's racing talk. They bolt me and just attack. What? That's 6 damage. I'm at 8. I'm the same life as them. They'd have to fear a removal spell, I guess. Because they still couldn't necessarily block or we just Blood Fountain immediately. They bolt down a creature, so we're priced in, we're Blood Fountaining. I will draw first. Doesn't really change what we do. I can draw again just to get around, because I'm not leaving up 1 mana doesn't do anything. Just get it in now whilst any blue blasts are not available. Now we are the I drew too many cards. Guess I'll discard the Aquifer. Now we're now they're the beatdown. Double Black Mage's Rod is going to be a lot of damage. I've got a synth. If we can duress the synth out of here, I'll be a lot happier than if I can't. Black Mage's Rod is so dumb. We're actually dead. Yeah, because even they just bolt before damage anyway. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've been in really good positions both times, but the opponent's deck has been very powerful. Black Mage's Rod is a hell of a card. Like, I don't know how much this did to us. It must have been, what, 4 damage was from the blast. I don't know if that'll go through, because after 4 damage was from the blast, 2 damage from the Skyfisher. I don't think they attacked with the Skyfisher any other time. So I think this was 14 damage. And considering, like, what they'd have had +1 card in hand, but it entirely won the game on its own. Like, if this game went long, they weren't winning it. I know they just did win the last one, but yeah. Okay, so I think we were quite unlucky to lose. We were really lucky to win round 1. That shouldn't have happened. I think we were really unlucky to win game 2. There was a sequence where they were top decking and every time that we did something, it worked out poorly into what they had or what they drew. That's fine. It's going to happen. Game 3, we just got absolutely hosed by Black Mage's Rod. It just did like 14 damage. Card's insane. Right, so we are back for round 3. It's a clunker, but it's a clunker with a blood fountain. I'm going to keep. We've got 19 lands, we've got 4 Lorien reveals, and we've got a blood fountain and a dream. I'm kind of still trying to think around that last match. Okay, happy to be playing another grindy deck. These are very fun. Wow, this starts sick. Refurb, Thoughtcast. Just have it all. What a good draw. We can put the no, because we lose a. As I say, if we set the blood token, we lose a mana or lose an affinity count. I love me a hard evidence. Love me a hard evidence, but now is not the time. We're not there. An 0-3 is less good against our deck. It's still an Abjure sack thing. So we can Thoughtcast, get back Snacker, and if we draw an untapped land, we can Kitchen Imp. The alternative would be Bloodfolk and pitch Kitchen Imp. I think I'm just Thoughtcasting first. Untapped land is great. We draw an untapped land. Deck has just absolutely hummed this game. With a little help from our friend this refurb. What we've used all our mana every turn. We've taken a million game actions. How rude. I think I'm probably discarding the Dark Withering. No, they're probably on like Murmuring Mystic somewhere. Just discard the Aquifer. We only have one blue pip, one blue source. So this now costs 3 to use. Or 2 to cast, sorry, which I think is still fine. I guess we attack first on the off chance they do block. I don't think they are very likely to block. I think tapping mana or thinking about it and then going, oh no, attack first is the most telegraphed draw 2 in existence. I guess we'll just drop the bog them. So yeah, probably the worst card for them to have in a vacuum here would be Murmuring Mystic, but we've got that covered with the Ploy Dark Withering. I think I can discard the second one though. Oh, I've got a Wectu and a mana up. Oh my god. Oh, that's so silly. I can't believe that. Well, I can. It's just, and I shouldn't have played this when I've got Blood Fountain. I definitely should have just Blood Fountained. If I get Spellbomb now, I fully deserve it. Okay, I found the Wectu too funny, and then I was like, well, I'll make up for it and put the Wectu into play, when obviously that's kind of bad to worse. And they've got Graveyard Hate. Oh no. It's an absolute disaster. What? You don't have Graveyard Hate? Or you've got an untapped land and a Spellbomb? I'm so confused. What's going on, guys? What's going on? So they've got a refurb coming. I think I'm going to discard the Ploy. Let's get back these two, and then I think we just have to replay the refurb out. We could obviously trigger the Snacker, but getting back tapped is a bit sketchy. I'd rather just have another creature and block up. Oh, we even get to use all our mana. That makes me feel better about it. I was worried we weren't going to use all our mana. The turn where we didn't discard a Wectu, and then I genuinely thought after they cast down this, that meant they must have a Spellbomb. That was pretty sad. I'll discard the Ploy again. No, I'll discard the abandoned attachment. If they do find a, I know they don't have one at the minute, but if they were to find a piece of graveyard hay, I would want to have the both sides of the ploy available. So likewise, I'm going to start on the abandoned attachments rather than start on the ploy. Where's this gone? This a concession? Yeah. So I'm interested in duress. What were they on? They were on. What was the other thing they played? They had refurbs and ninja, right? I think I'm interested in Fairy Macabre because this seems like it feels like there's definitely some what do you call it? I've gone definitely some blood fountaining going on over there as well. I think there's blood fountaining. I think there's otherwise the Dark Withering is really bad. Maybe 3 removal spells is enough to deal with Mystic. Doesn't feel good. Curse Marauder. What a weird combination. So adding the dresses makes sense. I like the dresses. One a Curse Marauder, just because I want to cut the Dark Witherings, because they have so many non-black. Was there so many black creatures we saw? And trim a Wekdu or a land, because we're on the draw now. Not worried about this deck playing Artifact Removal, so I'll cut an island. Maybe a cut a swamp. We've got a lot of blue spells. We've got the bog as an extra black source. Oh, I was so sure they had graveyard removal when they killed the stacker, and then we just fully punted that game. Nice easy mulligan. Hand is an absolute stinker, but refurbish Familiar Me at your own peril. I might even discard the Lorien. Or put back the Lorien. They turn on a Blood Fountain. I'm probably gonna. I don't see a way they're gonna refurb me this turn, so I think I'm safe to drop the bridge. Maybe they cut the refurbs. Maybe they're like, you know, this card is a. No, we could be refurbed, but we are not. Maybe they're like refurb is just a liability. Maybe they play it post combat. No, we're safe. Hand is so clunky, it's not even funny. Don't know what this is going to be. Thoughtcast, sure. Let's just use it through the turn. Spell bomb. Yeah. That's all fine. Refurb you. Good old refurb tennis. Stop. Stop it. Well, we get to attack. If they put in an ambusher from their crab token would be very funny. Probably flashing in a wake too. If they don't play anything. No island. Yeah, got him. Get that out of here. Want that gone. Now I'm probably playing a kitchen imp because we're not leaving up the mana for anything. Oh no. Better than that. This deck's insane. Just so fun when it just hums. Just jamming a load, if they have a sweeper, then it's, pretty good, but we've got draw 4 in our hand for 3 mana. I'm guessing arms. Or a mystic, yeah. I would rather it be arms of Hadar and just get blown out by it than opponent play a mystic. We'll start off with a 1 mana draw 2. No biggie. And play a Modern Age. I was going to say, it seems weird to let the Modern Age resolve if you're. Counter the Modern Age if you're letting a Thoughtcast go through. We'll do a Kitchen Imp again. Bit risky about leaving 3 things in the graveyard to a Spell Bomb, but obviously this doesn't work. This gets hard countered by a Spell Bomb, so that's even worse. I feel like we might run into a Cast Down. I don't know. They've got probably a Relic. Relic makes sense. Yeah. Slow us down a minute. We're getting ahead of ourselves. We're doing too much. Oh, the refurbs. The coast is clear. Got a spell bomb. We're tapped out. What better could it be? I didn't realize you were doing this too, or I'd have had my fairy macabres in. Feels like I'm doing it better though. I guess they might have a actual game against red decks. Don't think this matters. Probably just playing the Lorien revealed, drawing up to nine. Yeah, play the Lorien and just I don't know if we hit a reverb. A snacker. I don't really want to put a snacker in the bin as well. I think this is enough to be spellbombed away. If I do it now, they can't spellbomb it. They can't draw the card off the spellbomb. And it unlocks Wekdu. No, it doesn't because we've already drawn 3 cards for the turn. Likewise, though, they're going to spellbomb us eventually. I don't hate getting one out of the way. Alright, I'm going to play the snack. Choices, choices, choices. Look to be jam with Sneaky Snacker, and then draw 2. I don't really want to play the Kitchen Imp into another arms. Feels like they're going to Blood Fountain this away. Sorry, Spellbomb this away before we could Blood Fountain. We could just Lorien again. I like attacking with the Snacker. It is 1 down, but we've got 3 to go and we do need to. I think because we don't have our Fairy Macabres in, I think we do have to actually advance the game state, unfortunately. It's on us to force the action. Although once we have Fairy Macabres, I don't see how we're... I guess Murmuring Mystic is still how we lose. And they're spellbombing now. Counterspelling. Just going to discard the island. Does this finally get your spellbomb? Okay. This gets... I know they don't have the cards draw for their snacker, but it's a steep price to pay, but I think we have to, because now obviously we can actually, basically play the game again. Is this your Mystic? No, it's a Lorien. Lorien's a hell of a way to get a snacker back. So I can ploy out the Wekdu now, and if they want to spellbomb that, then they can knock themselves out. Actually, they can't, can they? Because they don't give them priority in between. No, I think I'm playing a snacker again and just kind of resuming usual business, but I'm down to 3 snackers in my deck, and they have all 4 still. The other option of like how to approach this would just be stop drawing cards. Basically just try to say that one of us is gonna mill out, but that's interesting. I'm not blocking. I will be trying to return this snacker. And this seems good for me. Okay, that makes sense for why they chose to do that. And then are they saying we can't... Okay, another snacker for us. Are they saying we can't attack into this snacker and just throw away a guy? But we do have a blood fountain for it. Get in, put them to 8. I don't want to take too long thinking either. I think I'm just going to jam and try and get this spellbomb out. If I can get this spellbomb out, I think I'm going to be okay. Counterspell wasn't really on my radar. Now I think I'm just going to jam the Lorien. We're no longer attacking, but if we can get a refurb, that would be nice. I'm going to wait to dress them, but I am going to play the snacker. Ugh. I don't know why I didn't think they were on snacker. It makes sense, like, just makes too much sense with what I saw of their deck in game 1. The bog. We've found our way. They do have 2 draws in hand. I just really want to get them to draw a card. Yeah, really want to get you to draw 3 cards so I can send in the team. Abjure. Oh, that's so annoying. So they can draw off of the spell bomb still, which stops our bog from getting more than one snacker. I think I just have to push for damage and just try and bog this one snacker. And once I bog, they can't. They're just going to stop. Like, once I use the bog, I can't attack this turn. I'm trading 2 guys for. Yes. No, it still doesn't quite. No, it does work. It does work. Because they're going to draw 3. Yeah, okay. I forgot we had the main deck bog. Deal. Part of me is even tempted to play the Marauder to get him for an extra 2 damage. This, not that they're ever not blocking here, but. Oh, I forgot the bog. The bog's so good. And yeah, the key thing is that they've drawn their 3rd card, so even if they had another, their last card is the abandon attachment, but even if they had a way to draw a card, they couldn't get their snackers back. And that should be that. I don't know, maybe like Murmuring Mystic into some nonsense can get them back in. Okay, it's annoying, but again, they've got an attachment in hand. We're at least getting the snacker back into play. That's so sick. Just get absolutely got. 3, 4. I guess I get back 2 Kitchen Imps. Obviously, we could get back a refurb and get this card out of their hand, but we can put both of these in play anyway. And then this just puts them at 2. Yeah, this feels like we are trying to do similar things, but whilst they are trying to be somewhat respectful of red and so on, we've just gone so far down the rabbit hole. When did we get the Bravo? Was that on our draw being sick or? Oh, this deck's so fun. Right, back for round 4. And I'm going to keep. We do have a Lorien to get a blue-black land. It's a bit slow, but this hand's so bad. It starts at 3. We have a 3-mana draw. We have a divination and just total air. That's so funny. I don't. Yeah, that's what we like to see. We're just completely dead to like, I don't know, mountain, forest, probably basic plains kills us on the spot. However, Misfold Bridge means we're very live. And we start the beatdown nice and early. Got a refurb for me? Again. Okay, we know what we're doing this time. We know what we're doing. We know that we need Fairy Macabres. So we can. I don't really want to play a Blood Fountain. I think I want to Island Cycle. Island Cycle, just play Snacker. Hello, we are the same, you and I. We are here to do the same thing. However, I've gone off the deep end in terms of amount of value we're trying to achieve. I guess you've just really got to pick your spots to refurb somebody in this matchup, huh? So, or do you? Or do you just slam it anyway? What's 3 mana for a seat? Or 2 if we refurb first, or 1 if we Blood Fountain first, but that runs into Counterspell or Abjure. I think I'm just going to attack, then try and refurb. They have another snacker, If they don't, then, the fact they're on 3 cards is pretty good. This gets abjured. They only have 1 blue mana up, so I think this means the coast is clear for the Blood Fountain. I think that means the coast is clear for the Thoughtcast. Yeah, okay, you get your snacker. I get to draw 2 and pass back. Deal. Love them rushing this down. I guess I'm just gonna cast down it because we've got the Blood Token, a snacker, Thoughtcast as well. Let's do the Swamp. Discard snacker. We could Thoughtcast, we could Modern Age. Modern Age, I don't have anything to discard yet. Again, just perfect mana use. What you love to see. Oh, I just kept clicking, getting closer and closer to the box for not being on it. In fact, we've got the Mystic covered, means I'm quite happy. Lorien is a big game. However, we also have some big game over here. I don't actually know whether I should attack first or whether I should have played something first. Obviously, the thing is we can return our guy. We can return all of our guys, but we could have found another creature to play. Oh, deck's so good. Deck's so fun. Why did I just not play a bridge? Because I'm silly. And am I just going to play the snacker? No, I might as well keep it to discard to the Modern Age. You see, what you're doing wrong is you haven't drawn all 3 snackers. The pause. If they have a spell bomb, I'm going to be so sad. We've got Blood Fountain. Let's stop in our upkeep to Blood Fountain. Get back Kitchen Imp Refurb. Draw and put the Modern Age trigger on the stack. Discard Kitchen Imp. Cast it from exile. We can send in the team. We're not currently triggering the snackers this turn. That's fine. There's no way they're blocking the snacker preferentially over the imp. What you got? Oh, you too can discard snackers to refurbs, I see. You got any more? You got another one, that sucks. That sucks for me. I don't want to get spell bombed. It doesn't look like I'm getting spell bombed. I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, yeah. I feel like this just gets abjured. If it gets abjured and counterspelled, it's pretty rough. Obviously, if either side of this resolves, it's great. That's the first side. How do we feel about the other side? Don't be spell pierce, don't be spell pierce. And if I'd have done this first, I'd have got in for an extra 2 damage. I've played better. Yeah, I don't know why I said I don't know why we're doing this before we attacked for 1. They get Lorien. But they're currently facing down some trouble. Or a load of tapped snackers. Picking the Lorien's brave. What are you drawing to? Double refurb? Echoing decay? Yeah. Yeah, no, we should have done the thing so that we drew cards before and they had to abjure earlier. So I'm doing all the Fairy Macabres and the Duress. I think I'm going to trim. I'm not going to do a Curse Border stuff. I'm not going to cut refurbs. I think refurb is much better against them than it is against us, which is probably part of why the matchup seems favourable. What we're doing, we're cutting an island. Let's say an island of Dark Withering. We can cut a Wake too. It's tricky because the only card that scares me is the Murmuring Mystic. But the only thing I want to cut is removal spells. Maybe not all 3 Macabres, maybe 2 Macabres. Because there's only 2 targets for this, really. And what's the last cut? Another Withering? I hate that. Feels like for a matchup that's quite favourable, I can just afford to be a little bit weaker. Maybe the other Wekdu. Yeah, okay. Wekdu is not very good against Spellbomb, that's why I've told myself why I'm cutting that. But Hand is slow and bad at refurb. I'll keep. I think I'm still going to Acrofire. They live the dream. We're not a million miles off living the dream ourselves. The dream of playing a refurb when we think they've got all the snackers out their hand. I guess that's the kind of tricky thing for them, right? Is this the obvious play, but at some point they know we're refurbing and maybe they want to keep this. No, that it just can't be right. You just gotta take your value. It's not that they have any other madness card to discard, right? I feel like the because we're not playing counter spells, the Fairy Macabre over what's it called? Having the Fairy Macabres over the other option is going to be quite important. I cut the other island. Okay, that could be tricky. That's a reason to cut the swamp. I can play a 3-mana refurb. We can play a Modern Age. Kind of want to save the Modern Age till I've got something to discard. I think either way it's quite likely to run into a Abjure. Yeah, that's what they're representing. Don't know why I'm playing this for 3 mana and not playing this for 2 and leaving up a mana. Yeah, I don't know quite what went through my head there, but so part of me is thinking if I just have all of my cast downs, they can't win the game. Part of me is thinking I don't need both right now. I guess we'll start with the Modern Age because if we find a madness thing, we will use it. Then if not, we'll refurb. Opponent's got 1 card in hand. They've got 2, cards on the field, but they don't get any choice as to what they discard. I almost don't want to draw a madness thing this turn so I can get the clean refurb the last card of your hand. This is not an incredibly popular deck to play it back to back. I might have trophy. I know there's a few trophies with it, but yeah, I think I can discard the Lorien. It's a bit greedy to stop making land drops, but I was going to say I would have discarded like Basic Island there. And Lorien's a lot worse than Basic Island now. It only gets Acrofire. We've cut, what's it, 2 Wekdus and a Dark Withering. So our Modern Age is slightly worse than it was, but not by a lot. What's the last card? Oh, an Ice Tunnel. Yeah, not too exciting. I think now might be the time to discard the cast down. Problem is I do quite want to kill this snacker. Let's not block. Not until we know we have like the oh, I guess yeah, they've got the spell bomb and so on, they can flip. Okay. So we'll discard snacker. Play the Modern Age and be discarding whatever we draw. I guess we're not cast down in this because it's not Murdering Mystic, so we don't need to discard whatever we... Oh, no, because we need one. Sorry, I'm saying I want to keep the cast down available. Discard this. And we've got the other Modern Age ticking, so... Okay, I'm kind of happy with that, to be honest. So we can get 2 snackers out the way, but then if they have a Mystic, we're in deep trouble. I think we're going to pick off this Mystic, this snacker another time anyway. We've got these 2 Fairy Macabres in our deck. It's certainly, yeah, because it's just going to sit behind a Modern Age. It would certainly suck to get refurbed and lose our cast down after not exiling the snacker. But it would certainly feel dumb if we don't, if we do cast down and they just slam a Mystic. So again, strongly not incentivized to block, seeing as we have a Modern Age. I might block one of these. Just trade here. I was saying not incentivized to block the snacker, but this guy's different. That's the outcome we didn't necessarily want. Yeah, this is a good one though. I'm not going to duress until they've got another card in hand or we need to clear the way. That's not what they had in hand or they would have played it, but it's Funny, I think we've drawn these back to back twice. Cryogen Abjure is obviously a pretty sick combo. Thoughtcast. Feels like not long ago they had one card in hand. Now it feels like we have. I guess we've got two, but now it feels like we're struggling on cards in hand. But we're not taking any damage. It's just a shame that we are shields down against Murmuring Mystic. Maybe the problem was that I kept a hand because it couldn't lose to Murmuring Mystic, whereas actually I should have considered that having both those in hand too early was actually a problem. Okay, well now we're dressing because we've got 6 cards over there, and I need to know what they are and if any are really good. Actually, both of them are really good. And so is the Murmuring Mystic. I think we've just lost, which is annoying because I don't think we'd have lost if it wasn't if I didn't lose that cast down. I guess we can just draw. Yeah. We've got a cast down and no, sorry, we've 2 cast downs in our deck when we use them both. We've got 3 outs. Yeah, right on time, buddy, right on time. Well, maybe we want our Arms of Hadar. I'm gonna play it. Let's see what we see. Guess I'm discarding the fairy. Am I playing this as well this turn? Can we afford to wait? I don't think we necessarily can. Not great. Not very great. This makes sense for, cutting off the ploy whilst you can. If we only have 1 card, but considering we just got a Lorien, I'd have thought that we've got action at least. How much have it? 2, 4, 10, 11, 12, 14. So we can't just triple block the Mystic, which I was very tempted by. I'll block like this. Don't know why I'm killing the refurbs. Refurbs like prime blood fountain target. So discard this and play it. I don't think we're digging our way back out from here, but we'll give it a go. 1, 2. Oh god, Thoughtcast is so expensive. I just missed that we didn't have any artifacts already. Any information on your last card? Abjure, sure. Otherwise, I probably would have kept the Lorien. Okay, so do we take the lesson from them and bring in our Arms of Hadar? It's much better for them. We risk running 4 mana into a counterspell. It's the only way that we kind of get back out from under a Murmuring Mystic. I don't think it's good for us. Again, like there's spots where it's good. It lets us alpha strike through. But I'm really worried about just having it into opponent's counterspells and it just sucking. I think we just want to be. I think we are better at combat than the combat step in their deck, and that's why I want to leverage. And almost by trading and playing through combat, we make their arms worse. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I was going to say, it felt like that game pinned around the Murmuring Mystic, but actually it just didn't, right? Again, I think we were both on 1 card at one point, and then they just hit the runner string and went nuts before we did. It feels like both decks do have that runner string, and it helps to be the one that does it. If we'd have duressed them when they had 1 card, yeah, that would have been good. Maybe we got greedy. It's tricky. We had 2 duresses. We got to take basically. From memory, they went from 1 card we didn't duress, and they had a full hand, and we got to strip the 2 kind of action pieces out of it. That's not necessarily bad. It's just that one of them was the Mystic, and then I think they drew something they could play the next turn as well. I don't know. Modern Age pitch the Withering. Unless we draw a snack. Yeah. Obviously the next turn we're pitching the Kitchen Imp. Not worried about this. There's a point where actually killing this is irrelevant because it's a thing for a draw, but that's pretty far down my list of worries. Okay, it does certainly feel like an Abjure is coming our way. Does that change anything? I don't think it does. I think they will counter this. And then we're going to refurb Thoughtcast. Obviously if they have a snacker, it's a bit annoying. We want to play the refurb for sure, so we get a Lorien. Big game. And we set up the Kitchen Imp for the second Modern Age. I feel like if these decks become like the best in the format, the games will be so tilting because of both, you know, you're blind running refurbs into hands that could be snackers, and then also you risk getting these kind of runner streaks. I'm pretty sure I just play the Modern Age. So what if they counterspell it? Obviously it's good if they counterspell it, but it still stops them from cluing. I've just played my land, haven't I? Yeah. In for 2. Refurb us, please. I'm not against hardcasting a Kitchen Imp if I have to. Just thought about stupid Arms of Hadar. At least this survives it. If that's what they do have. Can't auto yield because of. Oh, okay. I mean, I'm going to Kitchen Imp if they have the Landon and Arms of Hadar. I'm suitably hosed. And don't auto yield because of responding to snacks. This looks like they're picking up a different land to discard with the looting. Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to attack twice and hope that that Lorien is such a good draw. I don't see why it matters if we attack first or second, but I will attack first. If they have a Spell Pierce, there's no room the way they have room for Spell Pierce when they have Abjure as well. We'll stock back up and I can play the Swamp. Now I've got things to discard anyway. And then the Vector Glider still lives through Arms. The Mystic. But you have to have a cast down or you're dead. Yeah, we just about sneak through this, don't we? Because you have to have something to make a bird. And when you have something, we can kill your Mystic. I don't think this matters too much, but I will just kill it now. No, I can. They don't have foil. Oh, I can just kill the bird. Oh, that's incredibly boring. I was 100% on just killing the Mystic, but right. So we are 3-1. We have a positive record. I'm going to be so sad if we go 4-1 after that loss to the Mardu synth. It makes up for that round 1 that we never should have. We are back for our final round. I am going to keep again. It's lands and spells. Can we see another bridge? Any bridge? Basic plains. That's not a bridge. White weenie. Not convinced. Not convinced. I see dust to dust in our future, which I don't like. I see Guardian's Pledge being very hard for us to beat. We do have some Arms of Hadar, but I don't like our chances. I think I'm probably just bogging, blood fountaining, playing any other spell. Let's see what they are. up to with the rest of the mana. I will say we've not had a real crap out of a hand yet. We've had ones that haven't, necessarily been great, but we've not had any truly horrendous. So I'll just Dark Withering this down. Get my weird madness value. And this does, halves their clock. The modern age is currently holding back, in a couple of turns we'll hold back the fort. And there's ways this, and the fact they've, not got a Battle Screech this turn is big too. They have Battle Screech at home, I see. Battle Screech at home. That's quite funny. Time to discard a Lorien revealed. Thought cast. So we can make a snack. We can make a kitchen imp to block one of these. And I think I'm going to do that after Lorien revealing an island and save the bog in case the bog can get some value. We are not quite dead to pledge just yet, though we're not doing well into it. Now we have to kill this stupid chocobo instead. Oh, is this a trigger that resolves, and if we kill it, they're going to keep the bonus. So if it was the second turn, we could cast down it. Yeah, essentially we cast down our turn to make it go away. But now it looks like we're probably just trading. So if you ephemerate this, you just get multiple triggers, etc. That makes sense. I know it's been around for a while, but I've not actually played into it very much. Yeah, I'll be honest, the turn 5 defensive kitchen imp it's an odd maneuver. I'll just pick off a Squadron Hawk. It seems like a long time in the future that whether the creature has flying or not will matter, because that means that we're going to have to be attacking. So cast down this, as that stops us being just dead. We can Bajuka Bog, or we can Lorien. I don't think that really matters. Then we can Snacker or Refurb. I feel like we have to refurb, but the refurb doesn't use up all our mana. I don't think that matters, does it? Maybe there was a way we could have kept an extra land untapped there, but that's tough. It does not feel like this matchup is about to get any better, and it feels like we got pretty thoroughly dismantled in the first game. So, what's it called? Arms of Vidar in a Dream. The Fairy Macabres aren't fantastic. We can't respond and get a Battle Screech, for example. I think it's just 2 Arms of Vidar for, say, 2 Witherings. Potential to bring in Duress. They will have relatively few spells, but the ones they do have could certainly matter a lot. Right, I'll run it back. Seems like we might be on a quick round 5, which will. I keep starting leagues quite late, and so let me get to bed. Not to sound too grumpy about it. I'm going to play the bridge. The first bridge doesn't get dusted. It's the second one that gets you. The second artifact. Oh, there he is. Obviously, Dust starts on 3. I can Island Cycle and then Abandon and Kitchen Imp, which means that they can only double Stone Rain me on turn 4 instead of turn 3. I guess I'm going to attack, but I don't have any confidence in winning this race. I think the plan is that we just keep, spinning wheels. Not spinning wheels. Spinning wheels a bit harsh. We keep playing out some stuff and hope that we kind of Arms of Vidar on time, let's say. Well, our attacking has been cut abruptly short. So we can Blood Fountain, refurb, Wekdu. Or instead of Wekduing, we can kill the Skyfisher. And this is the turn we are open to Dust to Dust. Maybe we Thoughtcast instead of the cast down or Wekdu stuff. We definitely Wekdu, so we definitely refurb because we can use the 1 mana. We have 2 mana left, and our options are Thoughtcast. I guess we could have, instead of refurb, we could have Thoughtcast. Thoughtcast, Wekdu, or cast down. We kill this, but like under a lot less pressure. Like we are putting reasonable pressure on. It doesn't get arms of Vedard, so it's still on that plan. If we get double stone rained, we can pay 2 mana for a Thoughtcast. Wow, clue token. Clue token doesn't seem like it's it, if you ask me. Caw. I guess we can do in their turn. I'm just going to attack. If they want to double block it, it means we can attack with a refurb in the future. That's a really bad sign. Brom. Okay. That's better than I thought it was going to be. I thought that was the pledge right there. Surprise Ambush Viper. I think this just blocks a stupid bird token, but still. So we've got Lorien revealed, or we've got Ploy. I think I prefer ploying. We see 1 fewer card, but we get the option to do something on our turn still. And we gain a life. It also means that if we kind of brick, then we're stuck with just more Lorien reveals. I'm going to go for the ploy. Let's see if it's a good ploy or a bad ploy. It's not a great ploy. Well, that's how we're winning this game. We're attacking, we're dead to Guardian's Pledge. But if they just, instead of having a pledge, just have some more creatures. Nope. Oh, the Mog. It is a Mog, right? A Moog. So we're down to 2. That's not great. And then we're having to chump block this next turn. That's also not great. But on the plus side, we can play a snacker. So our choices now are about if we leave back an extra guy to be safe against a removal spell, if we just attack with, because if we attack with just with both guys and then draw a Kitchen Imp, that would be lethal. Feel like they've probably got a removal spell. If we get to leave back both guys with double block, they kill our guy. So I'm going to attack the Wekdu, because if I'm Blood Fountaining, I'd rather Blood Fountain the Kitchen Imp. So I'd rather expose the Kitchen Imp to combat. I'm not completely sold on double blocking. Obviously, like if they have a Strands, double blocking is atrocious. There's a lot of things they could have that make double blocking atrocious. So you went to tap 2 mana. Was that a Thraben Charm 2 mana? Was that a I forgot what the card's called now. Journey to Nowhere 2 mana? I'm just going to block here. 1 lethal creature and another Chocolate Mog. Oh, we can Ploy. Ploy is really good, but it does make both of these tapped, which is less good. So we can Ploy or we can Thoughtcast. I think I'm going to end up ploying but not discarding the snacker. Ploy, discard Lorien. And now discard another Lorien. This sucks because we've not used that extra mana that we've kind of saved by playing the ploy over a Lorien. And then this turn cycle we can attack, because if they have a removal spell, we go No. They have a removal spell, we go. We only have, yeah, no, we could attack, but if they have a removal spell, we still lose. It is tempting. Put them to 6, block, attack for 2, 4, 6. Okay, I think that's the best chance of us winning, whether they have a removal spell or not. Yeah, whether it actually kind of the read is right, that because they might have been thinking about pre-combat chocolate mogging. I'm not sure on that, but it was a journey. It does feel like it was Thraben Charm. Okay, well there goes us. Maybe I shouldn't have taken that risk. What we'd have gone down to, we'd have double chump blocked, gone down to 1. Like, I just don't see how we're winning from there, even if let's go back to this. Yeah, double chump block, go down to 1, have an untapped snacker, and then we could like Blood Fountain, get back Guy, but we're still not winning that next turn. And what they draw an extra card, they got 2 cards. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with taking the risk. And we wouldn't have got the 3-2 interest, like good result. I'm gonna move actually and do this in a kind of wrap up. So 3-2 overall. We somehow beat mono red, which we should never have, felt really horrendous, and they got very lucky. Sorry, we got very lucky. They got very unlucky and still came incredibly close to beating us. That is a shame. Then we lost to Mardu, and I think Black Mage's Rod is kind of a problem. I think it's kind of a problem for decks that I like to play. And yeah, if we're kind of skimping on removal or kind of interaction, it can just take the game over on its own. It's kind of a low. It's it tricks you, right? It's a 1/1 token. How valuable is that creature? The answer is incredibly. If anyone's not watched the game, because I know I do, I just kind of skip to the recap bit, get people's thoughts on the deck they played. I think Black Mage's Rod did like 14 damage to us in a game. They just played it turn 2 and it just kept on kind of sitting there. It was really good. Those games were really fun. If I was going to recommend to watch any match of the league, game 1 and 5, we just got absolutely browned. Match 1 and 5, we just got browned. Match 1, we somehow won after getting browned because they just got unlucky. But yeah. Game 2, 3, and 4 were pretty interesting. Game 3 and 4 were both against the blue-black, like Abjure, Sneaky Snacker, Refurb pile that's doing similar things to this. I would say where it kind of deviates is they're playing counter spells and Murmuring Mystic, and we're just going almost more absurd on the madness enabling stuff. We won both games. I didn't realize that game 3 was a Sneaky Snacker deck, and so I didn't bring in my Graveyard Hate, but then we maneuvered around a point where we could bog them, and we actually got 3 snackers from a single bog. That was good. We liked how that one went. Game 4, again, kind of a similar deck. My thoughts kind of after playing kind of that kind of pseudo mirror back to back were just basically, I think our deck went slightly better into theirs because the counter spell, there's obviously it's good, you can counter their best spell, but we've both got so many draw spells. Actually having more of an engine deck, it's quite something when we're playing, say, more of an engine deck, they're already still playing, this side instead of what they're playing. Still these draw twos. I guess their modern age is the what's it called? The relic, Crygen relic, which draws 2. So you can see there's a lot of overlap. We're both playing a bunch of draw spells. I'm going to say we see slightly more cards than them, but not by tons. And we've got Blood Fountain. those mirror matches are actually pretty miserable because a lot of it is based on, you're going to play refurb. If they have a snacker, you feel miserable. And there's a point where it just comes down to who kind of does a runner draw of blue card draw spells. And I think there's a point where you'd rather have more blue card draw spells to enable that runner type stuff rather than having more counter spells, basically. So yeah, that was the league. I think this deck is cool. I think very excited whenever you see a bridge on the other side. I feel like that just means instantly it's a pretty good matchup. Feels like you're never beating mono red, even with the 5 blue blasts. Feels like any kind of creature matchup or any aggressive deck that gives you a clock, you're going to really struggle with. Probably where you would go is you'd add more removal spells, but a Curse Border sucks against all those aggressive decks anyway. Spy, it feels like you're going to be too slow, but 3 Fairy Macabres and you see a lot of cards, it's pretty real. I don't know. It's a really, really fun deck to play. I'm going to say it's more fun than the Abjure Counterspell pile. Probably the Abjure Counterspell pile is slightly better because it actually respects the creature decks out, the more aggressive decks out there. But I'm trying to think how you would tweak this to improve those. I've not wanted to cut the Accursed Marauders type stuff because I think this is so good. This would be so good against Terror. And I don't think that this starting six, I think the starting 60 is reasonable against Terror, but it's just going to be so hard to actually gang block enough to kill one. And then cast down Dark Withering into ward is not it. We don't have any graveyard. We've moved to Fairy Macabre instead of Relics as our graveyard hates. We can't slow them down that way. I don't know. Maybe you just cut the blue blast and you just say I'm never beating red anyway. If you had 5 additional sideboard cards for an elf or I don't know. Basically, if you had another 2 Drowning Sorrows, let's go with your 2 Arms of Hadars, that kind of thing. I could see you winning those matchups that way, and then just being completely cold to red. To be honest, that's probably where I would go. It doesn't sound very good. Oh, sorry, it doesn't sound very consistent, but yeah. Obviously, MTGO leagues, there's a lot of red around, so it's not really a viable plan. If anything, you do the opposite and you overbake to beat red and just grind. Anyway, that's my wrap up. I've just thought about that, and actually, I'm going to try and do that more often. I tend to do it in the description a bit, but I think even re-recording the beginnings and just saying, instead of doing here's my intro to the deck, here's what I think, going, I've played it, here's how everything kind of went down. Here's the roles that cards played, and then here's the games I would recommend you watch. That sounds like an interesting way to do it. Cool. See you in the next one.